Who said Manchester United cannot sign players quickly? Because within the space of 4 days, Manchester United are about to announce their second signing of the summer. Now the question is, are these genius moves, or is this another panic buy? Wow, what a start to the day. Around 10:30 a.m. UK time, David Ornstein dropped another bomber. Yes, Youri Tielemans is about to sign for Manchester United. I think this is the same for everyone, that this is a shock move. Why? Because who thought of Youri Tielemans? If you had a transfer list, this guy would be nowhere on it. Now, we've got to start with obviously the most important thing, and that is INEOS's transfer kind of measurables. And I think if we take a step back now and look at them, you've got to remember INEOS want to sign Premier League proven players. Players, obviously, with a good record in the Premier League when it comes to goal scoring, assists. You know, if they're a specialist player in that position, tackles, interceptions. Basically, they are looking at the data science here. And then you've also got to look at the transfer value. Now, I think this kind of, yes, I'd have to admit, this fits that narrative. And what you've got to understand is that Manchester United, especially in this transfer window, are going to probably make more signings like this because, well, how many times have we already discussed the Mateus Fernandes saga? Every club wants £80 million for their players. And now you've got this signing coming out of left field. What I'm already hearing is that this is a shrewd signing. And I'm actually thinking, you know what? You're probably right. But that doesn't obviously mean that a lot of people will be looking at this and thinking, this is a panic buy. This is a wrong move. And that's why I wanted to discuss it in a little bit more detail, because that's what I do. A lot of questions obviously are going to be put forward because of this signing, the type of signing it is and how it's come. But something else you've got to also take into consideration is that we waited a whole month, or wasted a whole month, in trying to sign Mateus Fernandes, and yet within the space of 5 days, Manchester United signed 2 players. Now, obviously, they've got to sign their contracts, do the medicals, but these are the type of players, or these are the type of signings that get done pretty much quickly. And in David Ornstein's tweet, Tielemans had a release clause of 41 million euros, 35 million pounds. The player always has dreamt of playing for Manchester United. You know, personal terms is obviously he'd play for peanuts, because he's a man. You know, he's always wanted to play for United. So this signing has just come so quickly, and then obviously it was followed up by a "here we nearly go" by Fabrizio Romano, but then within minutes it was a "here we go," and that was how quick this transfer was done this morning. You know, United are about to announce the signing of Andre Santos, and you'd think to yourself, you know what? Finally, the train is moving. You know, we've left the platform, and then within 5 days we've signed 2 players. Now, obviously, today is what, the 13th of July, so we're a good couple of weeks into July. You know, 6 weeks, around about 6 weeks into the transfer window. 2 signings in, yeah, that is acceptable. And again, I'm just taking a back step here and looking at it, you know, without my Manchester United turban on, if I can say that. But ultimately, that's how you've got to look at it. And digging down into the bit deeper into the player and the type of player he is, I think on the whole, the positives outweigh the negatives. The first thing that comes to mind, obviously, is his experience. Premier League proven. Now, he came from Leicester to Aston Villa for free, I think. And even then, I was quite shocked, and I was thinking, why didn't we sign him? I remember this player when he played for us when he played against us for Anderlecht in the Europa League. I'm sure it was Anderlecht, but we beat them very narrowly. I think it was a Marcus Rashford goal, but he played really well and his name was just popping up everywhere. This is the next big star. This is a really good quality player, really young. And then he went to Leicester, and then he obviously from Leicester he went on to Aston Villa, and he's a European Europa League winner. He's built up a huge amount of experience in the Premier League. He's played against all the big games. He scored against United. I remember that one touch goal where I think he lobbed the keeper a few years back. Last season, he scored against Liverpool. So he comes with experience. And then you've got to look at why we've bought him in relation to who we're going to play him against. Well, this player I think is ideal for low blocks. Manchester United will be playing against teams in the majority of teams will be playing, next year will be teams who play low blocks. Teams who play on the counter. The problem we've had in the past is obviously when they break and we've had the cover to kind of stop their counter attacks. But when you've got a player like Youri Tielemans, that low block stays low. And he's a great player, kind of giving me Ericsson vibes to break them, the line breaking passes, that one touch pass, the interchange, and then obviously, getting a shot off a goal because he's got a really good, spectacular goal in him. And then obviously set pieces. The guy can score set pieces, he can deliver a good ball. And just remember, he's a full international with Belgium. So, yes, I think this is a very shrewd signing, a very clever signing, one that you would have thought, wait a minute, why couldn't we just get earlier? And then you've got to look at the transfer price for him, 35 million. That's around about 83 million pounds for Santos and Tielemans. So supposedly we've got about 150 million for the midfield. So you're looking at just, about just under 70 million pound left. Put a bit more money in it because we've just received, or we're going to receive 10 million pounds from the Greenwood transfer to Fenerbahce. Man United can now obviously go out and get that marquee kind of midfielder. But before we speak about that, I guess you have to speak about the negatives, or if you can call them that, the red flags. Obviously, his age. He's 29 years old. But what you lack in a certain department, you make it up in your skill and your ability. And I think he's got that. And he's not an unfit player, but in the sense that, he fizzles out in games. But one of the big issues that everyone's already talking about is his injury record, muscle injuries. Now, we're not going to expect this guy to be playing 60 games, nor should we expect him to play 40 plus games. He'll play around about 20 to 30 games this season. He'll play in games like the Carabao Cup, come on second half of games, finish games up, or when we need to, again, like I said, break low blocks. And that's why it's important that I think he's coming in as a squad player. And then, people are going to look to this and say it's a terrible move. But we can't help what other clubs do, because if you've got a club like Tottenham who are going to pay ridiculous amounts of money for players, that's beyond Manchester United's control. We can't hate on INEOS for sticking to their ideals, sticking to their measurables. So on one hand, should we care how much Manchester United pay for a player? Well, ultimately, no. But when you've been run by the Glazers in such a poor way for many, many years, this is exactly what happens. So, yes, there's red flags, but look at it in the sense that we're gaining a very experienced squad player. And for £35 million, I think it's a no-brainer. But I guess you also got to look at the future now, because yes, we've got Santos. He's Premiership ready, not Premiership proven. Because yes, he's been there for a year, but he's had his first season. He's acclimatized to the Premier League, the physicality, the pace, and he's done well. Youri Tielemans, it goes without saying, extremely experienced Premier League player. But the third one has to be the one with legs. And what I mean by that is the destroyer, the guy with pace. A lot of talk about Manu Kone, again, someone with a bit of a dodgy injury record, wasn't too bad, but the price tag doesn't look too bad, around about £45 million, about 50 million euros. But then obviously what everyone probably is secretly thinking and looking at is Belabor. Are we going to go back in for him? I think it's a must. That guy, yes, had a bit of a blip, but the pace and the power and the is there. And that's what Manchester United need. And that's why going forward now is what's so important, because it was always reported Man United would go for 2 to 3 midfielders. And clearly Manchester United cannot start the season with a midfield of just Tielemans, Santos, and Kobe Mainu. And obviously you got the tens in Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes. That just is incredible to think that would actually happen. So clearly there's going to be a third midfielder, but it's about navigating the kind of price tag with Bolton now. Sorry, Bolton, with Brighton. I wish it was Bolton, it would be a lot easier. So legs is what we need. The guy that comes in and just, when we get counted, can, get back and get that ball, because again, Casemiro, it doesn't feel as though we've replaced him yet. These are all good technical players, and Santos has probably got a bit of pace about him, but he's very young. So there's a lot of questions. What is going on in your minds? Will Manchester United sign that third midfielder? And what type of players do you believe it should be, or player it should be? Should Manchester United, look, we've proven it now. What do you think? Are Manchester United good at signing players quickly? Because I think so. And should we give them a little bit more leeway now to say, come on, things are picking up? Or is it a bit tough right now and you think this is just a bit of panic buying? Because that's the conversations now. And already this is the second signing that has caused a lot of, I'd say it's caused a bit of controversy amongst the fan base. It's already going in on, I've already heard, Sam from United People's TV, he's loving it. The Stretford Paddock lads in Joe is really kind of thinking this is a shrewd signing, as I've already said. And Jay, he's thinking similar things. But it's also going to be reported that it's vastly underwhelming, probably by other outlets as well. And I can understand that, because again, this is the second signing that's taken us by surprise. And I think the fan base is still in the mindset of a marquee, huge player. Well, guys, I've got something to tell you. They're all gone, or they've just signed new contracts with Real Madrid. So let's keep the focus on being, I guess, positive and hoping that Manchester, well, again, we're living a bit of hopium here, bit of hopium and copium here, is that we're living in a time where we're hoping that Man United will get that next big player or that next big signing. But now we know, expect it to be someone maybe that you wouldn't have thought of. Because that's why I'm asking you, what do you think, or who do you think will be that next player? It'll be very interesting, because have a look at the stats, have a look around the Premier League. If there's one gem there, you never know, because this one was surprising, and I think we'll continue to do that. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back.